right, and hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Nursing News You Can Use live at 5. I'm Tina Baxter. Your host today is Wednesday, November the 20th, 2024, and we have a lot of news to cover for today, but I want to kick us off with our affirmation for the day. My life and everything around me continues to get better and better. My life and everything around me continues to get better and better. I now move into my greater good. I now move into my greater good. This is from the Louise Hay calendar for 2024. This is our inspirational thought for the day. All right, let's go ahead and get into the news before we head over to some brief announcements. But I wanted to share this with you. So, this is a story that just came across today, and unfortunately, another tragedy has struck. This is a case. This is a case on nursing home safety. So sorry, we'll talk more about this later. But Assembly member Nurses Union weigh in on nursing home safety. This is from Rochester, New York. This is after, unfortunately, an incident between a resident and her adult son. So as police continue to investigate into a shooting that happened in a center at a center in Rochester, New York. Apparently the individual was staying as a resident, and her son came in and allegedly shot her as well as himself. Florence Abbott, 94, began living at the Pearl on Halloween. On Sunday, her 70-year-old son making his way to her first floor room, according to police, and then unalived his mother shortly after 7 p.m. and then turned his gun upon himself, his pew-pew on himself. A similar incident happened in September 2021 when an 83-year-old man also did the same against his wife and himself. So Assembly member John Johnson serves on the State Assembly Health Committee and also the Nurses Union. And they're saying that even though there may have been underlying mental health issues or some sort of interfamily drama, that these are things that they want to prevent. And so they are looking to change some laws to help make things a little bit more safe. So first of all, I want to just say condolences to the family for this incident, and for the staff and the workers there. And I know the other residents have to be affected, but this kind of goes back to the fact that I, do worry about the safety measures that we have in place in long-term care facilities, because they're very much open to the public. And unfortunately, things like this continue to happen. And so it makes, we need to do a lot better of protecting our seniors for that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next story. And I apologize, I seem to sometimes stumble through those stories, but it is, as you know, I want to be very careful as to what I say because of monetization and YouTube and those types of things. So I just want to be very careful. So I'm going to talk about the next couple of things. This is a case, again, this happens again and again. Moving on. This is about a person who's impersonating a nurse, and we have another case of this. Let me know what you think, guys. This just keeps getting worse and worse. So it says she admitted to posing as a nurse in Virginia. Now she's accused of doing the same at California hospitals. So this is from NBC News, and it says a convicted identity thief who admitted to posing as a nurse in Virginia nearly a decade ago is accused of impersonating nurses in at least 2 hospitals in Southern California this year. Amanda Porter, 44, was arrested on November 7th in connection with a nursing job she obtained at a medical center in Burbank using the identity of a registered nurse who lived out of state, the city's police department said in a statement Thursday. And it's because I kept seeing these stories that I had the event about nurses, how to protect your license and guard against identity theft. And so that's one of the things I had. I will be having that again, but it's becoming more and more. People are just using any way they can to scam other people. And this is just one way that a nurse could have some potential issues. And so imagine if you have someone stolen their identity and they commit crimes in your name. Now as a nurse, you may be caught up in stuff with the State Board of Nursing because of this. So it's just a lot. And we'll get on with the story. So it says Porter, who does not have a nursing license, was charged with identity theft false impersonation, and grand theft, the department said. Jail records show she is now being held without bail. Her lawyer did not immediately respond to requests for comment on Friday. Prior to arrest in that case, the department said Porter was in custody over similar allegations linked to a hospital in nearby Santa Clarita, California. It wasn't immediately clear what charges Porter may face in that case. Jail records show the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office was the arresting agency. The department did not immediately respond to requests for comment. So it says, at the time of Porter's November 7th arrest, she was on probation for a separate federal fraud case in Virginia, the Burbank police statement said. In a statement of facts in the federal case that Porter acknowledged as accurate, she admitted stealing the identity of a registered nurse in New York in 2015 and using it to get a job as a supervisor at a nursing home near Norfolk. Porter, who is identified in the case as Amanda Porter Ely, had the position for 5 months before she was fired in March of 2016. Using the nurse's name, date of birth, and social security number, Porter admitted opening bank accounts and obtaining loans totaling more than $100,000 that she used to buy a Mercedes-Benz, diamond bracelets, a Ford Mustang for her son, and other items. She also tried to obtain a $176,000 home loan, was denied. Porter was arrested in September 2016 at Navy Credit Union while trying to open an account using another stolen social security number, according to the document. While being taken into custody, she told the arresting officer that she steals money because it gives her a high like a drug, adding she wants to give it back after stealing it but spends it instead. Porter was indicted on multiple counts of bank and wire fraud, using a false social security number, and aggravated identity theft. She pleaded guilty to 2 of the counts and was sentenced to 9 years in prison. She was no longer in federal custody as of March 13th of 2024, prison records show. So she has not been out for very long, according to this, before she returned back to her old ways. The prosecutor in that case could not immediately be reached for comment, and her lawyer did not immediately respond to a request for comment. In Burbank, Porter allegedly applied for a job at Providence St. Joseph Medical Center this year and oversaw roughly 60 patients between April 8th and May 8th. Hospital officials discovered she was impersonating an out-of-state nurse and fired her. Okay, so if they knew this, why didn't they notify someone? Call the police? Report her to the State Board of Nursing? Let's just go on and see what it says. Okay. So after determining Porter's credentials were falsified, the officials promptly notified state and local authorities. Okay, that's what they said. And the patients whom she cared for, the hospital said in a separate statement. During her first 5 shifts at the hospital, she was under the supervision of a trainee nurse. Several months later, and roughly 25 miles away at Henry Mayo Newhall Hospital in Santa Clarita, officials learned that in October, an employee had falsified documents to get a job. Once discovered, we took immediate appropriate action, including terminating her appointment and reporting to regulatory and law enforcement authorities. The hospital added that Porter, who is not named in the hospital statement, was under the supervision of a nurse, and there was no indication of compromised care. The Burbank police said investigators believe Porter may have committed similar crimes in Southern California during the last year and asked people to get in touch with law enforcement if they came in contact with her at a medical facility. So it sounds like she's just been able to do this over and over again. And they said they but I'm just wondering, like, I just wonder, why didn't the police come and get her at work or wherever she was? I just kind of wonder what took them so long to arrest her. But again, let me know what you think. If you're in California and you've had contact with this nurse or a similar situation, hey, let me know what's happening. Okay. All right. So this is just an update. This is from Skilled Nursing News. This just recently came out, and it says CMS unveils major changes for nursing home surveys for 2025. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, is set to implement a series of major revisions to its long-term care survey guidelines effective February 2025. So those of you that are in long-term care, you might want to listen up. The changes, which were shared in an advanced copy of a 900-page document, focuses on a variety of areas ranging from admission rate agreements and medication management to infection control and health equity considerations. The new guidance for state survey agencies aims to streamline the survey process and eliminate overlapping citations. Health and safety updates are regularly made to address emerging trends and deficiency citations nationwide. This ensures that our guidance remains aligned with current standards of practice and reflects the evolving needs of residents. These updates are essential in maintaining the integrity of nursing home care, David Wright, Director of Quality, Safety, and Oversight, noted in a CMS memo. So the guidance will be available to surveyors starting next year on February the 24th. They are also looking at for greater accuracy in the minimum data safety assessments, the MDS assessments. I happen to say, I know it's for them, it's a monetary thing. That's what the MDS is about. But I think the accuracy, as a legal nurse consultant, I think the accuracy improvement would be beneficial all around, because those things that you document should reflect what's actually happening with the patient. And sometimes there seems to be a little bit of a miss, or it's misleading in how the documentation is done. So hopefully it will make it better and easier to understand for most people. Okay. So it says, to that end, the federal agency has issued a change in the guidance to surveyors regarding citations in tag F641 for accuracy of assessment, whereby they are instructed to review MDS coding accuracy, but not investigate possible falsification of the MDS. Okay. Strong language is also included regarding patterns of inaccurate MDS coding on 3 or more residents and indications that the individual knew the coding was inaccurate. And so again, that coding, because it's also tied to reimbursement, but it that's kind of helps drive the plan of care for the resident. And sometimes people rely on that to be their assessment. So it's important that that information be accurate, because then you could be inappropriately billing for services that either are not performed or services that may not be needed. So it says a referral should be made to the Office of the Inspector General to investigate possible falsification, which could be a potential reimbursement issue for Medicare and Medicaid. That's what I just said. This is a change from the previous F642 guidance, which included referral to the state agency, regional office, and Medicaid fraud control unit. Among other major changes, CMS is revising guidance on the admission, transfer, and discharge process. The handling of admission agreements is a notable change in this category, and facilities may no longer include language in their admission. To ensure that residents are not unduly pressured to secure payment guarantees from family members or others. Mm-hmm. In addition, CMS has reorganized and clarified guidelines, removing the transfer and discharge process. The agency is removing several outdated tags, including F622 through F626 and F660 through F661, which previously dealt with facility-initiated and resident-initiated transfers and discharges. These tags will be replaced by 2 new conditions, with the revisions aiming to make it easier for surveyors to identify instances of non-compliance, particularly when transfers or discharges are not conducted in accordance to residents' rights or regulatory requirements. They're also streamlining the guidance related to the use of psychotropic medications and chemical restraints. So this is important, so you might want to listen up. Previously, regulations concerning the unnecessary use of psychotropic drugs was located under the tag F758, but they have now been incorporated into tag F605 to simplify the survey process and increase consistency in enforcement. The change emphasizes the need for facilities to prevent the unnecessary use of psychotropic medications, especially when they're administered for staff convenience rather than medical necessity. So this is, again, those instances where people were giving out powerful sedatives and antipsychotic medications for which there was no clinical indication for, but it was just to keep the resident quiet, or help them sleep, or maybe help calm some anxiety. But there's no documentation, there's no medical necessity for that medication. It was a lot of times was just for staff, unfortunately, historically. So when this original tag came out, it was so that we would reduce the number of psychotropic medications, because suddenly you have a lot of people that were diagnosed with schizophrenia that never had schizophrenia in their life, but now they're in the nursing home. They give them a slap a diagnosis of schizophrenia on them. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of medications that are out there that will treat delusional disorders related to dementia. And there's a lot of research behind that that you need to be aware of. But this is just to say that if a person has a diagnosed mental health illness, we're not going to be stripping people off their medications or needed medication. But it's also to help prevent people just putting a diagnosis on there or starting a medication or giving a medication without a proper diagnosis or a medical necessity. So the guidance regarding convenience has been revised to include situations when medications are used to cause symptoms consistent with sedation and or require less effort by facility staff to meet the residents' needs. Facilities must also ensure that residents are fully informed and able to participate in decisions about their treatment, including the right to accept or refuse psychotropic medications. Before initiating or increasing a psychotropic medication, the resident must be notified of and have the right to participate in their treatment, including the right to accept or decline the medication. Additionally, tag 5757 for unnecessary medications has been changed to only include guidance for non-psychotropic medications. So there's more changes that come with this. Please head on over to Skilled Nursing News so that you can read the entire article. But just be aware that there are some changes coming. And if you are working in long-term care, this is something you might want to keep an eye on. Okay. This is coming from out of Ohio, and it says nurses push bill to increase nurse staffing at Ohio hospitals. This is from 10tv.com. It says wearing t-shirts with graphics reading Code Red, supporters of House Bill 285 packed the Ohio State House Committee hearing room Tuesday afternoon. House Bill 285 is a way to hold hospital executives accountable to safe patient limits, to have enough nurses and staff at the bedside to have safe patient care. Excuse me. This is from Ohio Nurses Association President Rick Lucas. A nursing shortage is affecting hospitals and nursing homes and other facilities in Ohio and across the country. A 2023 study by the National Council of State Board of Nursing found roughly 100,000 nurses nationwide have left the profession since the COVID-19 pandemic. The bill would mandate minimum nurse-to-patient ratios in hospitals and create a loan-to-grant program to recruit more nurses. Supporters say the legislation would increase the number of nurses and decrease their job stress. According to Lucas, nurses have been struggling long before the pandemic hit, but we haven't recovered from what we went through in 2020. The Ohio Hospital Association, Ohio Children's Hospital Association, Ohio Chamber of Commerce, and Ohio Business Roundtable oppose Bill 285. Of course they will. In written opponent testimony supported to the House Health Provider Services Committee, the groups argue the bill would exacerbate the existing nursing shortage and would threaten their ability to staff facilities safely, adequately, and flexibly. In California, where nursing staff ratios are mandated, hospitals have been forced to cease providing service lines such as oncology services and redirect staff to other areas of the hospital to meet the ratios. Ratios would promote the closure of patient services, thereby threatening access to care for patients and communities, the opponents wrote. Rather than imposing rigid ratios, we urge consideration of alternative approaches that focus on collaboration between healthcare facilities, educational and professional organizations, and Ohio policymakers. A search of the Ohio Means Jobs website Tuesday found nearly 16,000 job listings for registered nurses in the state. The problem is turnover, Lucas said. So we're bringing these people in the door and they're not staying. Those postings are perpetually out there. Tuesday's hearing was the second hearing for the bill. If the bill does not get passed by the end of the lame duck legislative session in December, supporters say they will bring it back in the new Ohio General Assembly in the new year. So I have to say, I think that if nurses knew that there would be safe ratios and patients knew there would be safe ratios and staff there, you might actually keep some of the staff. We keep saying the same things and doing the same stuff and do this dance, and nothing ever changes, and they won't do the very thing that nurses ask. And I just wonder, you know, I just remember when we had staffing was better, not optimal, but better. And it seemed like everybody was pulling in the same direction. And now healthcare just seems to be driven by profit and money. And it's really hard to see where patient care is. And so we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on this bill in Ohio. And if something comes up, we'll let you know. All right. Before we head to our first break, I want to bring this story up because, again, this also happens way too often. It says nursing home worker charged with allegedly assaulting a patient in Cumberland County. A nursing home worker was arrested after allegedly assaulting a patient. Joseph Agahold, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce that right, 47, of Elliott City, Maryland, is charged with neglect of care of a dependent person. North Middleton Township Police were called around 8:19 p.m. to the Church of God home after receiving reports that a nurse assaulted a patient. It's not known as he is actually a nurse or not. He may have just been and not just, but he may have been a nursing assistant because it says nurse, but I'm just wondering if this person was actually a nurse. Staff told officers that he had been trying to move a patient from a chair onto a bed. The resident was known by staff to be aggressive, reportedly struck him in the face as staff was assisting him, and then allegedly he hit him on top of the head a couple times in retaliation or defense. The worker said that he was trying to deflect the blows from the resident and was not actually trying to hit him, so he denies actually hitting the resident. When they asked the resident what happened, he said he couldn't remember. He was taken to the hospital where the police said he suffered a hematoma. A warrant was issued for his arrest, and this past Sunday, he's now being held in prison on a $10,000 bail. So I bring this up to say, I know we have a right to defend ourselves if our lives are in danger, and it's human nature to want to fight back when you're being hit. I get that. But as healthcare workers, we have to remember that we can't hit back, okay? And I'm saying this because I just got finished teaching CNA training class, and this is something I had to reiterate with my students. That being said, if they knew this guy was combative, why didn't they have more staff in there when they were trying to get him to transfer? You should have at least 3 people in there, 2 people to do the transfer, 1 person to be the spotter. Maybe they could have used a Hoyer. I don't know. But again, that becomes a question of why they let him do this on his own when they knew that there was something going on with him. So, yeah, that's where I have questions on that. So one more story, and then we'll head to our break because I want to have a good transition. This happened to be from Medical Express. And I saw this, and it's talking about a new study that just came out today. It says nursing homes with more Black residents lag in care goal discussions. New research from Columbia University School of Nursing, published in the American Journal of Hospice and Palliative Medicine, shows that timely goals of care discussions are less likely to take place in nursing homes with a greater percentage of Black residents. These discussions are crucial to ensuring that nursing home residents receive care that aligns with their wishes, postdoctoral research fellow Jong A. Chloe Kang, Professor Patricia Stone, and their colleagues noted in the report. But these conversations are often delayed until patients experience life-threatening events, the authors add, which can lead to unwanted therapies and unnecessary hospitalizations. Black nursing home residents have worse end-of-life outcomes, especially for infection management. To investigate whether delays in discussion of goals of care might be a factor, the researchers looked at the timing and frequency of goals of care discussion relating to infection management in 867 nursing homes across the U.S. In the West, nursing homes with 2.1% or to 15% Black residents, and those where more than 50% of the residents were Black, 15%, score significantly worse on timely goals of care discussion compared to those with fewer than 2% Black residents. In the Northeast, nursing homes with 2.1 to 15% Black residents also score significantly lower on timely goals of care discussions than those with 2% or fewer Black residents. Failing to have timely goals of care discussions about infection management can have, quote, profound implications, the authors warn. Without these conversations, there may be an increased likelihood of either undertreatment or overtreatment, which can significantly affect the quality of life and dignity at the end of life. So if you want to hear more about that, you can head on over to the original research by the American Journal of Hospice and Palliative Medicine and take a look at that study. All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. Tired of feeling trapped in a job that no longer fulfills you? Is your nursing job no longer the fun-filled adventure you imagined? Find your passion again through nurse entrepreneurship. Step out into the light and come feel the sun. Join the Nurse Shark Academy today at thenurssharkacademy.biz and come feel the sun. Okay, let's move on to our next story. This is a story that I wanted to share because as we were thinking about nursing, and again, I was just finishing up the CNA training program, I was thinking about nurses and studying. And so this is a couple of things, a couple of stories that came out just recently, and I thought it was good to share. So this came from nurse.org. And it says nearly 54% of nursing students suffer from severe depression, anxiety, stress. A recent study featured in the September-October 2024 issue of Nursing Education Perspectives, the research journal of the National League for Nursing, reveals that extreme mental health challenges nursing students are facing. The study surveyed 1,163 undergraduate nursing students, asking them to rate their levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. To assess the prevalence of mental health issues among nursing students, and to examine the role of faculty support in mitigating these challenges. The findings are a wake-up call for the academic and healthcare community. Nearly 54% of nursing students reported suffering from severe to extremely severe levels of anxiety, depression, or stress. These numbers are significantly higher than the average, the general college student population. According to the 2023-2024 Healthy Minds study, 19% of college students report having severe depression and 16% report having severe anxiety. The study found that faculty support was crucial for students' mental health and well-being. A 2022 study from Boston University School of Public Health, Mary Christie Foundation, and the Healthy Minds Network supports these findings. It examines the importance of faculty involvement in supporting student mental health, noting that faculty members are often the first point of contact for students in distress. They found that only 51% of faculty reported that they have had a good idea of how to recognize that a student is in emotional or mental distress, and that 73% would welcome additional professional development on the topic of student mental health. So that's part of the story. So let's dig a little bit deeper because I found this other article, and then chime in and let me know what you think. So this was in Medscape, and it says the emotional cost of nursing school, depression. Nursing is a competitive field. Yes, we know this. In 2022, nursing schools rejected more than 78,000 qualified applicants. And the students whose applications were accepted faced demanding schedules and rigorous academics and clinical rotations. In 2024, 38% of nursing students experienced depression, a 9.3% increase over 2019, according to research from Higher Education Research Group, Degree Choices. Catherine Steuben, assistant professor of nursing at Rutgers University in Camden, New Jersey, calls it a mental health crisis in nursing. Nursing is a very rigorous, difficult, psychological, and physically demanding profession. If students don't have the tools and resources to adequately deal with these stresses in nursing school, it's going to carry over to their professional practice. A growing recognition of the toll that nursing programs may have on students' mental health has led schools to launch initiatives to better support the next generation of nurses. Higher than average rates of depression among nursing students are not new. Nursing students often work long shifts with limited breaks. The academic rigors and clinical demands of caring for patients with acute and chronic conditions while instructors evaluate and watch for mistakes can cause high levels of stress. Eventually, something has to give, and it's usually their mental health. This is according to Steuben. Clinical practicums often start when nursing students are still freshmen, and asking 18-year-old students to provide patient care in an often chaotic clinical environment is overwhelming, according to Steuben. The COVID-19 pandemic further exacerbated the issue. During lockdown, more than half of the nursing students reported moderate to severe symptoms of anxiety and depression, which was attributed to the transition to online learning, fear of infection, burnout, and the psychological distress of lockdown. The pandemic exacerbated existing mental health problems in undergraduate nursing students. In the wake of it, a lot of registered nurses have mental health issues and are leaving the profession. A significant shift in the willingness to talk about mental health and seek treatment could help. In 2011, just 1/3 of students participated in the treatment for a mental health disorder. The latest data shows that 61% of students experiencing symptoms of depression or anxiety take medications or seek therapy or counseling. So again, this is another issue, and I want to share that with you. Give me one moment. There seems to be a person at my door. So I'm going to go ahead and take another break. Nurses, are you ready for more? My mission is for you to own your seat at the table of nurse entrepreneurship, gaining confidence, skills, and the freedom to live your life on your own terms. Assisting you in achieving your goals through tailored advice, continuous learning, and a collaborative approach is at the heart of everything I do. Stop being eaten alive. Come feel the sun. Be a nurse shark. Okay, and we are back. So let's take a look at another one of our stories here. And again, let me know what you think about this story about the increase of depression and stress in nursing students. Okay. All right. Here's our next story. It says, and let's talk about this. It says, it's a virus you may not have heard of. Here's why scientists are worried about it. A little known virus is getting a lot of attention this year. It's called the Oropouchi, and it's been making headlines because of a notable increase in diagnoses. So far in 2024, there has been over 10,000 cases, mainly in South America and the Caribbean. The vast majority are in Brazil. By contrast, the total Oropouchi count in Brazil recorded between 2015 and 2022 was 261. In August, the PAHO, the Pan American Health Organization, issued an epidemiological alert urging for increased prevention, surveillance, and diagnosis of the viral infection, which is spread by the bite of a mosquito or by a midge, which is a little tiny insect, like a fly that bites humans, or like we like to call them, no-see-ums, right? So they're saying that this is a very big development, that they're keeping a watch on this. The virus was first identified in 1955 and named for the village in Trinidad where it was found. The pronunciation Oropouche, oh good, he gave me Oropouche, is harbored in birds, monkeys, rodents, and sloths. They said that because it can be spread by midges, it's a serious issue. Biting midges are known as no-see-ums. They're so small they can actually fly through standard window screens. They've long been considered a nuisance, leaving itchy welts or spurring allergic reactions with their bites. But this understanding that they can transmit a virus that harms humans raises biting midges to a new level of concern. They're an emergency disease vector that hasn't been well studied. So just keep an eye on that. And then now there is some indication that the Oropouche virus can now be spread through intimate contact. So on August the 2nd, 2024, a man who had been in Cuba from July 19th to the 29th was diagnosed with Urapooch in a hospital in Italy. He had developed a fever his last day in Cuba. During his recovery, researchers used PCR tests to look for the virus in his blood, urine, and semen. To their surprise, they not only found the virus in his semen 16 days after his symptoms started and 6 days after they completely resolved, but they also found that the virus is still available to replicate and spread. So that's new in viruses that are happening. So just keep an eye on that. I just wanted to share that as medical news for our nurses to keep an eye on that. So let's talk about this next one, because there was another story that came out recently and a directive that was sent out about monkeypox from the CDC. So this is from ABC News. Here's what you need to know about monkeypox after the CDC sent alert to doctors. And I do remember getting that alert from the CDC. And it says doctors are encouraging Americans not to panic about the monkeypox, even after a recent severe case was detected in California, and federal health officials sent out a notice to physicians to be on the lookout for symptoms, especially in travelers from parts of Africa where the virus is more widespread. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued an alert this week to healthcare workers to be aware of the mpox symptoms and report cases of the more severe strain to public health authorities as soon as possible. The alert came just 2 days after California reported the first domestic case of the more severe strain in a traveler from Africa who experienced mild illness and is now recovering. No additional cases of the more severe strain have been reported in the U.S., and the CDC said the risk to general public remains low. At the moment, mpox is occurring at extremely low levels in the United States, according to Dr. William Schaffner, a professor of preventative medicine at Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville. So I think the general public awareness is always a good thing, but I don't think they need to really be concerned. People with mpox, which was formerly known as monkeypox, often get a rash that can be located on the hands, feet, chest, face, mouth, or near the genitals. People who are traveling or who are engaging in high-risk activities with people who have traveled to potentially areas where mpox is prevalent would be at risk. But in general, I think for the average American citizen, the risk is very low. She said the incubation period for mpox is generally between 3 and 18 days. So those who traveled 3 weeks or months ago to areas in Africa where mpox is endemic are not at high risk. So again, I just want to share that. This is a little bit of news for those of us in healthcare who may have heard about this. Let's keep an eye on that. And this then brings us to this next story. This is from Science Alert. And it says human cases of bird flu confirmed to be occurring undetected in the U.S. And so this is another story that has been coming out. So blood samples from 115 dairy workers in Michigan and Colorado reveal cases of highly pathogenic bird flu have been occurring undetected in humans. U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, researchers found that 7% of those tested between June and August of 2024 had antibodies from the highly virulent form of H5N1 in their blood. The good news is this means that most people who have contracted bird flu so far have not been severely impacted. Half of those with the virus antibodies in their blood did not report being ill, so may have only experienced mild symptoms. However, while the current risk to public health is still low, researchers are concerned that allowing the virus to spread without control provides it with a greater opportunity to mutate into more threatening strains. A change in disease virulence has occurred in Cambodia, where at least 3 patients have died from their infection. A hybrid between 2.32.1C and 2.34.4B, that strain of bird flu, was contracted from poultry. A preprint study suggests that this hybrid has mutations that assist airborne transmission and infection of mammals. Close tracking suggests that the Cambodian outbreak is fortunately limited and no human-to-human infection has been detected. Canada has also just reported its first known case of the bird flu in humans, a teenager who is currently in critical condition in a hospital with a mutated version of the strain identified in the U.S. dairy cow outbreak. Early genetic sequencing shows a change in a gene known to increase a virus' ability to infect humans. So far, the Canadian case appears to be an isolated incident, but these concerning examples emphasize how easily a risk a virus poses can change, reinforcing the importance of close tracking and careful management of outbreaks. To date, there's only one known case of bird flu with no known animal origin, sparking fears that human to human spread may have begun. The U.S. dairy workers who had signs of previous infection had all been involved in milking cows or cleaning the milking parlor. Those that recall being ill reported symptoms including red, draining, or itchy eyes, fever, sore throat, congested nose, sneezing, diarrhea, or headaches. None of these workers with HPAI, the H5 virus antibodies, reported using the personal protective equipment recommended for working with HPAI infected animals, and use of recommended PPE was low among all workers. The CDC is monitoring the situation closely. In addition to poultry outbreaks, over 400 dairy herds have been infected by the highly virulent bird flu across 48 states. So if you want more information, please head on over to Science Alert to hear the rest of that. But again, just be careful out there and just let you know what's going on in the nursing world. All right, here's a little bit of great news that can help you stay healthy longer. According to this report, being aerobically fit in middle age may reduce Alzheimer's and dementia risks. This is from CNN. Doing more academic exercise in middle age and old age may reduce the risk of dementia, including Alzheimer's disease, a new study found. Our study underscores the critical role of cardiovascular fitness in reducing dementia risk, even for those genetically predisposed to Alzheimer's disease. Encouraging gradual fitness improvements offers a practical and impactful way to support brain health across diverse populations. Overall, people in the best cardiorespiratory shape had better cognitive function and only 0.06% relative long-term risk for dementia compared to those who were not so fit, a benefit that delayed the onset of dementia by 1.5 years. Cardiorespiratory endurance, which is developed by regular aerobic exercise, boosts oxygen uptake in the lungs and heart and helps people sustain high-intensity activities over an extended period without getting tired. The study found an even bigger benefit was seen for people with genetic predisposition for Alzheimer's. Those with the most cardiorespiratory endurance had a 35% lower relative risk of developing the disease. So if you want to hear more information about that, head on over to CNN and watch that story. Okay, so this will be it for our news for tonight. Let's get into some of our announcements. So here's our first announcement. Coming up, I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited. I want to say that our first cohort of Baxter Professional Services Health Education CNA program has completed as of today. I'm so grateful for the 3 students that have made it through the program, and that's wonderful for us. So we will hopefully be having more, a different class, a new cohort starting in the new year, but I'm just grateful that they were able to complete their time. All right, and so let's talk about some other activities that are coming up. So tomorrow evening, for those of you that are local here in Anderson, we have our Alignable Alliance of Anderson will be meeting at Cultured Urban Winery downtown here in Anderson. It's called Vino and Visionaries, an evening for entrepreneurs. So if you would like to join us for that, please join us for that. Vino and Visionaries tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We'll be meeting at Cultured Urban Winery. I also want to say that next week we will have an abbreviated show for our Nursing Live at 5 because we'll be traveling for the holiday season. So just let you know, we will be having an abbreviated show for that as well. And then on Saturday, the 30th, We'll be having our virtual guided relaxation event. You can join us for that. You can head on over to the Baxter Professional Services Health Education.com for that and register for that event. You can also register on Facebook. You can register on Lineable. You can register on LinkedIn if you're following us there. And I do believe it is also on Eventbrite. But best place to go to BaxterProfessionalsHealthEducation.com and sign up. We're doing a virtual relaxation where we're going to talk about some stress reducing activities for the holiday, kind of reduce some of that holiday stress as we get geared up for the Christmas holiday and New Year's and all the things that happen that's exciting, but then it can also be very stressful. And we're going to go through some relaxation exercises. So join us for that as well. There's no cost to attend that. Just looking forward to having you there. And then be on the lookout because we will be having our 2025 5-day challenge to kickstart the new year, getting us ready as entrepreneurs. So that will be starting on December the 30th. So be on the lookout. You'll be seeing announcements about that soon. I just kind of want to get it on your calendar. We'll be starting December the 30th at 12 noon Eastern time. We'll be having our event every day for the 5 days. So December the 30th through Friday, December the 3rd. And then, of course, I'll probably throw in a bonus there because I do like to do that. So we may have a bonus workshop day for some certain things. But just be on the lookout. We've got some new things coming up. Don't forget to join us and watch our other podcast, the Nurse Shark Academy Show, where we have new episodes coming out where we interview nurse business owners and leaders, and we get them to tell their story. We have some wonderful guests, and I'm excited about our next upcoming segments. We've got some great guests for you. So tune in for that. And we're changing a little bit of the format for season 3 in 2025. So there's something special that's going to be there for some people that are patrons. So if you want to know more about that, head on over to podbean.com, find our show, the Nurse Shark Academy Show, become a patron of the Nurse Shark Academy Show, and be into some special content where I'll bring in special guests that have expertise in helping us grow our business. So we'll be bringing in more business coaches, so people, financial people, attorneys, that type of thing, to come and bring in some expertise to grow our business. So that'll be something very special for those that are our patrons. So I'm excited about that. So tune in for 2025 because we got some exciting things that are going to be happening. All right. Well, that is going to conclude all my announcements for today. If you have something going on in the community and you want me to promote it here, let me know. As always, I'd be happy to do that and to serve. And I will see you next week. Don't forget, it will be an abbreviated show next week because of the holiday. Have a great time. See you next time.